If you're not aware about what PR is, public relations, is corporate communication is, this is a section for it. Today. Welcome to my session, and I'm going to give you a deep dive about what PR is all about. PR, we say public relations. 1000 is 2000 till about 2010. PR, working as a PR professional was looked up as a top profession. But with the course digital has taken over, altogether PR was something which was supposed to take care of public relation activities and communication activities for a company. The course of career with the digital media and everything in Indian scenario, PR industries, PR agencies particularly did not evolve themselves. And that's why a lot of bachelor graduates who are into BMA or doing mass media are not particularly aware about PR, although they are much more aware about digital media and marketing. In today's session, I'm going to give you a deep dive about what the whole profession is about, what the whole career is about, and why PR professions did what they did and why they were great. So all the top score people into any particular company at corporate communication or head of marcom or marketing are mostly PR professionals. They understand what communication is to go as a brand to the stakeholders. What is the perception of the brand needs to build among stakeholders? Most often, the digital media professionals or the marketing professional one will not be aware to that extent. Being a PR professional, being a faculty at different colleges teaching PR and then into digital marketing, I still wonder why PR lost its shape. But there, you never know. There are some professions will come up. There are some professions which will go down. Let us look into PR as a what is public relations? What are the main parts in public relations? What is agency life? This session is particularly useful if you are into BMA or a last year into BMA or masters into communication studies and are looking to explore what PR is about. There may be some layer sessions about PR on YouTube, but this session is specifically focused towards all the students who are looking to build their career into PR and are not aware what PR is about. You may enter journalism, but you are not aware from journalism how can I shift to PR and how can I shift to corporate position. Let's go to our next slide. So, in today's session, what are the takeaways? In today's session, I will talk to you about the opportunities in PR industry, understand the agency line, and what is practice specialist. These three things. So, last thing, practice specialist you might not be aware, but usually in PR agencies, there was a time where there was healthcare practice specialist, there was a tech practice specialist, there was a pharma practice specialist, there was a IT specialist, there was FMCG specialist. So those were specializations. And they had connections and they understood that particular market because they used to interact with a lot of CEOs in that industry, made them much more capable people to take care of the entire practice. Now, let's look at the parity grew about 12% in 20, which is not much compared to the digital media and the entire industry. But still, compared to something which is losing its share, 12% is good enough. But the more revenue was from non-media PR services, which has overtaken revenue from media relations. So media relations is still one of the biggest service offered by very large firms, and it accounts for almost 52% large firms to 56% still offering these services. And non-media constitutes 60% of the work performed by smaller firms and freelancers. Among sectors, fastest growing consumer goods like FMCG, IT, travel, and government have driven industries growth with 44% contribution. So understand this. What is media relation? Media relation is something that these are the people in PR industry who are connected to a lot of journalists. They will go and pitch to journalists. They are meeting journalists. They know which stories are happening in which type of publication, which type of news media, video media. And once they're aware about what stories are happening, they can pitch their client stories over them. This is where media relation plays up. Non-media PR activities are activities like creating a strategy for communication of the company. What should be the about and vision and mission of the company? Based on that, what is the perception the stakeholders need to have? What is the communication that needs to go out to the shareholders? What communication or the campaign needs to be planned? These are the non-media activities where there is no media or you don't see tangible benefit. Most often, you will see travel and government using PR a lot because as a government body, whether it is a central government or a state government or with SRA projects, slum rehabilitation. They need to talk about what the initiatives the government is doing, how it is beneficial to the people, and this needs to be reported by media. If government is doing some activity and they have full-fledged ads, nobody is going to trust them. For the trust factor to go up, the most important part is PR. So unless you do PR, people will not trust or believe. And these are the sectors which are highest growing sectors. Then what are the challenges faced by the PR industry? Most and biggest challenge faced by PR industry is availability of right talent is the biggest and only talent that the industry is facing. Because you don't have industry specific knowledge, you don't have creative writing people, analytical mindset, knack for story. You need to have a knack for story. What news can get the story? It's just pitching that okay, this is new development of my client. I want a story out. It doesn't happen that way. You need to understand what type of stories a journal, a publication is carrying, when they carry which type of story, and you need to have an analytical mindset about connecting different things. Journalist is doing a story, you are connecting that story with your client story and how it is beneficial for that particular publication is what you need to create a perception for the journalist. Because unless you are able to sell a story to a journalist will not write the story, and if the journalist does not write the story, you are not featured in the publication. Why will a journalist write a story is unless you read the stories written by the journalist, you read what is written by those publications, how they write it, which stories they feature, which stories they do not feature. Like in India, when it comes to Times of India, the type of stories Times of India will do is different from Hindustan Times, is different from Mumbai Mirror to Midday and to different publications. There will be some stories always which will be carried by that type of publication, but why will not carry it? But there are some baseline stories which everybody will, which are industry specific to journalists that are relevant for the industry. Biggest problem about PR industry right now is having somebody who has a domain knowledge, having a knowledge about PR, what goes into creative writing and everything, and about understanding of a specific industry, any industry which they are working for. And what content, if the client tomorrow briefs you 10 different storylines, what is that one or two hooks or pegs that can get the story? Is that understanding on it? The client to have trust in you, you need to start understanding what content can get you stories. So even if there is something which the client thinks is a huge thing, but may not be a great thing for the news media, you need to diplomatically make the client understand what is that will get you stories, what is that will not get you stories, and for what type of stories you need to create some rewrites. And based on that, the client will start to what they perceive the company, perceive the brand, and perceive them. And if you really love to be in that particular space, then this is that particular opportunity. Money is one part. So how do you become the most sought after sort of public relation professional? First is you need to understand, you need to read and learn a lot. It's not that you are want to become PR, but if you want to be into PR, I used to read about at least 11 newspapers every day. I used to read 25 magazines every month. Plus, in addition to that, meeting journalists, reading a lot, and understanding and pitching different stories. This was part and parcel of my career. I never did a public relations degree or something of that sort. But I used to read a lot. The reason I used to read is if I'm not from the industry, I need to understand the industry. And to understand the industry, I need to read, learn. So if I was managing a client which is a huge hospital, I what type of stories, press conference where I can invite different news, where can I do one specific story which will give me coverage? What type of stories a CNBC or NDTV will come? I need to understand these stories. I need to know which journalists are working on those bits. There might be a city-based journalist who might cover health. There might be a health journalist who will always cover health. There are two different type of stories. Both of them will cover when it comes to health, and I need to cater to both of them. How do I cater? Is I need to tweak my story for both of them. That they feel okay. This story I can cover in this fashion, while a big journalist will cover it in a different fashion. For all these things, you need to have a knack of understanding what the client is into, what is that they expect, and what journalists are expecting from you. And how do you navigate both the areas to get those stories out? Now, it's not that one time you need to learn. It's like you need to keep on learning every time. Permission marketing or brand positioning, laws of marketing, what were contagious, editorial newspapers, e-learning courses. You need to keep on learning. Learning does not stop. Every day, we used to invest at least 2 hours in learning and reading different things to understand the industry. Imagine if you're reading a magazine like El Official, you need to start thinking about what kind of stories you can get your doctors of Hinduja hospital featured. It might be a derma doctor who might get featured, but how do you get them featured is at the back of the head. Joy. If you're watching night show, you'll keep on thinking, how do I feature my client over there and what is type of story a night show will like to cover. You need to have this understanding and then you patch that gap. That's where you solve the main thing. So let's look at agency life. Now, why agency life is for you as a PR professional, if you're going to start out as a PR professional, you need to invest time in an agency because in an agency, you will be managing at least 3 to 4 different types of clients. You will be getting to different meet of journalists and you will be reading a lot. This makes it easier for you to understand what are the different stories that are happening, what stories you can capture, in what type of stories you can feature your client, what type of collaborative stories you can do. So, for example, if it is a ice cream brand, you can do a career-oriented story for ice cream. You can also do a story about different flavors of ice cream. Well, you can also do a story which talks about healthy ice cream and then get a quote from a doctor. And this collaborative angle can get you 3 to 4 clients featured into a single particular story. Similarly, if you're doing a lifestyle story, there might be a client which is into diamonds, where you feature the diamonds jewelry aspect. One of your client is into fashion, you feature the fashion for summers, and where one of your client is into say skincare, where you feature skincare products. So all products get featured in a single story. All 4 clients are happy, and you get your and the journalist is happy because she or he is able to feature those things. You are happy because the client is happy. This is where you need to have a lack of understanding what you can crack, how you can crack, and how you can spread it. I know it is very difficult, but this is where we as PR professionals learned a lot of things. So maximum of my learning happened during my PR profession because in PR profession, when I was PR professional and a manager, I used to interact with a lot of company and I used to interact not with the corporate communication professional. I used to interact with the CEO or the managing director of the company. If you are interacting with the managing director of the company, imagine you need to talk about the competition, talk about the industry, and talk about their company. They will only trust you if they feel that you understand this industry. If they feel you do not understand this industry, they will straight away complain to your CEO that I don't want this PR profession. I want to change the PR. This is the core thing about PR industry. When you interact with the top-notch people, you need to be aware about each and everything what is happening. Let's look at different parts in an agency and how it is. So, as an agency life, you are completely sitting around with the publications, you are sitting around with your camera, you're talking to people. It's like chaos. And P or most of the PR professions are fully bred into chaos because right now they are reading a particular story. Suddenly, there's a journalist who calls for a particular story and inputs from the client. Then they call the client. The client is okay with the input. Then you have to draft an article for question and answer, get it approved from the client, send it to the journalist. The journalist approves it, and then you have to follow when the story will be up. This usually takes 2 days, 3 days, and sometimes the story also drops. That's the worst part. And because this, the problem is a lot of people think we are the spin doctors. So we spin our client story inside the story, and that's how we get the coverage. It's not that. If the client has a story and it has a value, it will always get covered. As a PR professional, you need to understand how do you get it covered. There are only so many stories the media can or wants to cover in an edition. PR people work hard to come up with new angles to attract attention and present the client in a positive light. There's a story happening, and you keep on understanding what are the different angles where you can pitch your client. This is where PR is about. Now let's look at agency life. This is what is expected out of an agency. These are the different departments in an agency. The reason of why I'm writing expected is because when you are studying, you are told what it is. So you have a managing director CEO, then you have a practice head. So you can have a IT practice head, you can have a FMCG practice head, you can have a health science practice head, then you have client service manager, client service executive, and intern. Media relation is often a shared resource depending upon how big the agency is. Sometimes you have dedicated media relations people for that practice, or sometimes you have single team of media relations, but there are two, three people, and they manage different practice. You have research manager and a research executive to keep on researching about, because as a PR agency, you need to give out a lot of resources to your clients. The clients need to know what is happening in the media, where it is happening, what is the perception you need to drive. So there is a lot of research which keeps on happening. You have content writers to write content, to write articles, to write press releases. There are different content that you need to drive. Media monitoring is news media monitoring. So once your story is out, or whether what the competition is getting, where the competition is getting featured, where your client is getting featured, you need to track all these stories and you need to inform the client. You need to share these stories. So if it's a print media, you need to cut and give the coverage to the client. If it's online, then again you need to send coverage. If it's a television, then there are television tracking agencies who will cut that clip and will share it with you, and you share it with the client. You have finance for billing and accounting, and then your business development will keep on meeting different clients and drive more business. You have a practice head and everything under that. So as a practice head, you do everything, and as a client service manager, you will end up doing client servicing, you will end up doing media relations, you will end up doing press release writing. There is no content writer, everything you have to do for that particular agency. This is what it happens. So what happens is, as a PR professional, you are a 360 pages. You know how to write an article. You know how to pitch and do new business development when it is necessary. You know how to service the client. You know to talk to journalists. You can pitch stories to journalists. So you are an all-rounder. And once you are an all-rounder, you really know how to manage all this. And that's why I love. And I really cherish my time. I joined PR because my thought process was, if you are into PR, you don't have enough. It's chill out totally. Just need to cut newspaper clippings. That's it. You stick around that coverage, and that's it. I was not aware that as a PR professional, you have to study a lot. As a PR professional, you need to keep on reading a lot. You need to track coverage. You need to pitch to journalists. It's endless. When I joined work, everything changed. And because of that change, the time investment I invested to learn and to read was huge. In PR, I never used to read books to that extent. But when I was in PR, that's when I learned that I have to start reading. So every day in PR, it's like you are in middle of the news. You should have guts to tell the celebrity to mention your client name in the media point, because if the celebrity has been invited by your client, they need to speak, give out the bite for the client. PR is a creative gig. You need to think original. Okay, meeting new client ends up meeting with the CEO or the MD of the company. You need to love telling stories, talk to anyone. You need to be really shameless. And how do you tie a client story into the new Apple Watch story? You need to know this particular connection. PR people are usually smart. They have to be funny and they have to be quick and quick to turn around. You never know what you are going to get when you walk through that door at that, because everything keeps on changing and it's very highly chaotic. Everything is chaotic. There's a story happening. Suddenly there's a crisis which springs up and you are running over here to solve the crisis. You never know what is going to happen. This is where you'll come to this particular slide I created just to give a deep dive about PR and different types of PR. So you have, these are the practice heads. You have financial relations, community relations, where you crisis communication, communication, public relations, consumer education, reputation management. Then you have PR agencies dedicated for government and political relations, public affairs. There are different kinds of PR agencies. Depending upon what is your area of interest, you can start exploring the public relation tools. So, what are the tools? You have blogs, you have community involvement, where you involve community, like in your government projects or NGO projects. Investor relations is usually companies who have launched IPOs into agencies which manage the investor relations, because investors are the one who keep on investing in the company. If you do not manage the relation and give them the right thing what they require, you might lose out on investments. Then there are sponsorships that you need to get, message refinement, media relations, editorial, news release, industry trends, executive speaking, assign engagements. Like you would have new clients who do not have any particular feature done in the news media, And for new stories to come into news media, you need to first get them featured into industry roundtable conferences where the industry will start seeing you. Once they start seeing the industry and they see the press coverage, because peer people will not give you coverage if you are newcomer. You have to be because they will always check your name, and if there is some coverage around you, then they will ask you bites. If there are no bites of yours getting featured anywhere in publications, will they will not proactively feature in the initial phase. That's my experience. That's why we used to do a lot of media activities wherein media journalists will come and meet the senior people or the CEO or the MD. Initially, it may be just a high-level meeting to understand their perception because tomorrow, if there's a story which is coming out, they exactly know whom to feature over there because they have already met this person. Then you have crisis communications, you have events, conferences, think tanks, all this form part of PR agencies and it is a public relation office. So, what are the opportunities as a public relation professional? You have media monitoring professionals, you have corporate communication, then you have public and corporate affairs, corporate social responsibility, media relations and PR agency, client service and PR agency, investor relations, lobbyist pro content writing. The only thing which I haven't shared you right now is about lobbying. Lobbying is a different relation altogether. A lot of people into lobbying are although from PR, but lobbying in India is not considered as a legal profession, while in US it's a legal profession. Hence, I'm not going to share you about lobbyist. And that's how we end. Thanks a lot for joining in. And if you have any doubts regarding PR or are looking to venture into PR as a profession, do share me in comments. Bye.